Oh, welcome everybody to your weekly dose of wrestling reality. I am always your host as the mostest, Travis Falcon. Today, we're going to go ahead and get straight to the chase here, and we're going to hit some SmackDown and Raw notes. I think I'm going to throw a little bit of NXT in here too, but first I'll say happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I know this will probably be shown the following day, but still, I'm in the spirit. I'm wearing green, but of course, as always, for every single video, you see me sporting some form of a wrestling t-shirt, so I killed two birds with one stone. Got the St. Patty's Day green with old school WWF block logo. I think that's pretty dang sweet, don't you? Now, Raw and SmackDown. Both are now gearing straight towards WrestleMania, and Raw, I think I would have to say, kind of has the advantage for a number of reasons on match wise and storyline wise. Of course, I think the biggest storyline going into Mania this year, some folks would arguably say Goldberg versus Lesnar. I seriously would say it's more Rollins and Triple H because the drama around Triple H and Rollins, I think, surpasses anything involving any championship. Just my opinion on that one. Um, Rollins making the surprise appearance, which if it had been reported online that he was in the arena or the area or the building even at some point during the day, I don't know because I refuse to read spoilers now. I actually like being an old school fan. I like being surprised, and I was missing that element. Yeah, I used to read spoilers all the time, but that's one thing that you will not get from me on this show. We can always address rumors of people that could be coming back, but I still will refuse anytime I look at an article or any kind of news feed. I refuse to read spoilers. It's just not my thing. But that definitely was an unexpected shock to see Seth back, at least getting in the ring and getting physical, throwing down the crutch and doing the interaction with Triple H. I don't know necessarily if it's a wise decision. I would think that they wouldn't do something like that if it wasn't okay to do it. It's just, I don't know, with as in question as his status is for Mania as it is already, it's kind of like, why would you risk something like that? But again, I'm not a professional. I'm not a WWE doctor. I'm not a WWE wrestler. I'm not even any other kind of rehab specialist. So I'm not going to say that it was the wrong move. I just question it because I don't know. So we'll see. But looking at it from the story perspective, it's been great storytelling. For anybody that thinks this is a work, I'm still going to play devil to you and say, sorry, you might as well think twice that it's actually not a work. Seth was really injured and is still, in all case and purposes right now, he is still currently injured. Hopefully he gets cleared to wrestle the match. What we have been teased with, if you will, is a confrontation to take place. That is what has been going on. I think that's to cover themselves for Mania, just in case Seth is not cleared. But they're building it as a confrontation to take place, to come face to face at Mania. Even though we've already seen them get face to face and even physically interact, I think at this point you basically now have to hope that it does become a match because what else can you do? Goldberg versus Lesnar. I'm not necessarily upset with Goldberg versus Lesnar. I'm upset with everything that we've heard thus far. Obviously, things haven't really changed all that much. You know, everybody knows kind of what the deal is going into it. Even if you don't read spoilers, you can kind of figure it out that, you know, Brock is going to go over Goldberg. But, you know, it is what it is. Nobody's really going to like the fact that right now, and this is my main issue, is that it will be the match that closes WrestleMania. My God. I don't know how else to put that. But what I find even more interesting is where Brock is supposed to lead into going into next year's WrestleMania, which brings me to Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. Golly. Nobody really knows exactly what the plan is that will take place in Orlando. I am forever hoping that Roman Reigns does not beat The Undertaker. Um, I said it before and I'll say it again only because I've kind of been repetitive. There's been very few times where I feel like wrestling is important anymore. The streak was one of them. And then that got broke by Brock Lesnar. As disappointed as I was to see the 21-0 at that time streak come to an end, I understood it after a little bit. I got it because of what they did with Brock Lesnar and what they basically continue to do with Brock Lesnar. Um, Him breaking the streak was probably the best thing that they could have done for Brock's career, especially in this current time. Um, I know Undertaker's an old school guy, but even as old school tradition is, which is to build up a reputation that you can later help build another superstar because of the accomplishments and accolades that you have acquired over the years, that should be your popularity. That should be what puts you in that legendary status, and that should be what helps you put over a younger talent to help feed him. Well, putting over Roman Reigns right now, as much as I don't agree with him going over on Taker, there's only one way that that can happen. Plainly put, Reigns needs to be heel. Now, I addressed where Brock Lesnar is supposed to be going long term, and that's because it coincides with Roman Reigns. Reports that came out today expect Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to fight for the Universal title at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. We've seen this before. I don't know how else I can emphasize that we've seen it before other than the fact we've seen it before. We know what's going to happen. I don't care how much you try to build up Roman Reigns as the ultimate good guy going into WrestleMania next year even. In case anybody hasn't really gotten through to WWE, and I know this little simple YouTube show isn't going to be it either, Vince McMahon, if somehow by any chance you do see this, I'm just going to call you out right now and say that you need to really think about your choices. You really need to think about your fan base. And I want to make something even more clear, which I found is totally ironic. Stephanie McMahon was on the episode of Up, Up, Down, Down with Austin Creed / Xavier Woods earlier this week, and she made a comment that I found quite ironic, is that she said, we're a company that's here to put smiles on faces, and we have to adhere to, granted we have to adhere to corporations as well, but we mostly adhere to our fans and what they want. Really? Do you? Do you really? Because quite frankly, the best thing you really should do right now is make Roman Reigns your heel. I get it. You want him to be the next John Cena. You want him to be the next babyface. Even John Cena had a heel run before he was a face. I'm telling you, that's what it will need to be done in order for Reigns to even ever get to a point where he can get over with all of the audience. It can happen. It is extremely easy to let happen, but you're doing all the wrong things to do it, and you're burying this guy. I don't care if you want to use the logic, doesn't matter if you're getting booed, doesn't matter if you're getting cheered, you're getting a reaction. Yeah, well, when the vocal majority is booing that reaction, you really need to think about your alternatives. Just saying. Now, on to SmackDown. We've seen it. It is now put in motion. And I cannot stress this anymore, how much it disappoints me that we now will have AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. Granted, one can completely and totally argue that that's not the case and that Shane is not the actual guy, because I don't think I'm the only one who noticed it. But Shane came out, yes, and he did say, quote, AJ doesn't need to worry about a WrestleMania opponent anymore. I found one, or he's got one, excuse me. But he didn't say himself. So you left a little bit of a window there. Could there be? There was also a poster that was posted earlier by Triple H in the week in regards to the NXT tour going to the Download Festival across seas. And guess who was absent from that poster? Shinsuke Nakamura. Could it? Would it? It should. But I guess only time's going to tell. I'm, of course, assuming what everybody else is assuming, that we now have AJ Styles and Shane McMahon penciled in for WrestleMania. Well, it is what it is, I guess. The Miz and John Cena's feud, once again, is growing quite interesting. I think they are delivering us a dose of reality, which is very, very refreshing for those who long for the Attitude Era to come back. We have a small little glimpse of that now because they're using a lot of reality based stuff to get their stars over, which is great. I have no issues with those whatsoever. And honestly, I am very much kind of intrigued to see how this mixed tag match is going to be delivered for us when it comes to Mania, which is about a week and a half away now. Now, let's get to some top two news stories, shall we? I say top two because they've made a lot of ruckus, one of them especially within the last week, but the one that I want to get to first has made a lot of ruckus just within the last, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours. Paige, not suspended, but currently injured WWE star Paige was a part of a group of celebrities who has had now nude photos leaked. But it didn't just stop with nude photos. Oh, no, 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 no. There was nude videos as well of Paige. Yeah. There's a certain page that I came across earlier today that had these explicit photos and videos. And I have seen both. They don't leave much to the imagination. As a matter of fact, I don't think there is really any imagination to be had at this point. And to be even more frank about the situation, I'm sure just about every single person that ever thought Brad Maddox was nothing but useless time on TV, every single one of them probably wished that they were him for at least 36 seconds. That's about as much as I can say on that. But the reason I'm bringing this as a news story is because at this moment in time, with Paige injured and currently engaged to now to Impact Wrestling star Alberto El Patron, I think we can pretty much kiss Paige goodbye in the WWE. I highly doubt that she will resume WWE when she is off injured reserve. As a matter of fact, I mean, we don't hear of Eva Marie anymore on any kind of wrestling front. She's very active on Instagram and Twitter, which I follow both of her on, but nowhere has she made mention of WWE. She's not made mention of coming back. She's not made mention of anything. So honestly, I think we're about to lose another diva in Paige. I think Eva Marie has been out the door for quite a while, not just with fans. Well, actually, I should say mostly with fans, but now I think when it comes to executives, that she's pretty much not existent anymore. We haven't seen her on TV since, August, I believe, August or September when she got suspended, somewhere around that time. I haven't seen a word from her since except on Total Divas, but that don't count. That's film. That's a film thing. So, I'm pretty much stoked to believe that, more so, I want to say I would be absolutely surprised if Paige sticks around with the WWE after this incident. Finally, the Broken Hardys versus Impact Wrestling. We're going to go right into the Impact Wrestling reference there. That's why I kind of brought up that Paige story, because of Alberto El Patron. Now, the Hardys and TNA, or I can't get used to saying Impact Wrestling. I just keep saying TNA Wrestling. But Impact Wrestling still is an ongoing situation. Who owns the rights to the Broken Brilliance? Who owns the Broken Universe? Matt Hardy or Impact Wrestling and Anthem? Anthem is very much on the side that they own the intellectual property of the brand, that Matt and Jeff would be in violation of an agreement. And really none of us knows. Nobody really knows except the parties involved as to what exactly the deal and the issue is. I'll say this for Matt Hardy. if it turns out that he is not the rightful owner to the intellectual copyright and brand to the broken universe, if you will, I think honestly that could be a very close to the end of a career at that moment in time. The Hardys have reinvented themselves with the Broken Brilliance and the Broken Universe with Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy, King Maxwell, Queen Sky, or Queen Rebby, if you will. We've all seen it, as delusional and as crazy as the whole concept was and still is at very much at times. It has gotten over as being one of the most popular gimmicks in professional wrestling today. There's nobody that can deny it. Everybody knows who the Hardys are now if you're a wrestling fan. Granted, most people knew who they were if they were teenagers in the Attitude Era or kids during that time. But now even young children are going to start knowing who the Hardys are in a new generation, in a new form. And that's the best way to stay relevant, is to reinvent yourself. And Matt and Jeff have always been good at doing such that. So I feel for Matt if he ends up losing this case. Hopefully that won't be the case, for the pun there. But we shall see how time goes. I wish nothing but the best for Matt and Jeff, because I actually do hope that they are the ones that triumph over the wrestling of Impact and reveal the broken universe eventually to the house of Meekman and continue to wreak havoc over the honorable ring. That is what I hope for the greatest tag team in space and time. Brother Nero, Broken Matt Hardy, the Broken Hardys. And I hope that they will delete Impact Wrestling and Anthem Sports in this ridiculous transition of Hardy versus Anthem, Broken Universe versus the Owl. I hope the Owl and Impact Wrestling, because they mess with the Broken Universe, become obsolete. But only time will tell. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me for this episode. I hope that little part especially was somewhat entertaining for you. Please like, comment, share the video. Give me your feedback, your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Am I outlandish in thinking that Paige will be fired? Is it right for me to think that the Broken Hardys should look at possibly calling it a career if they lose the lawsuit with Anthem? And is there anything with the WrestleMania card that we need to pay more attention to, that you think I need to talk about more? Or do you think anything I've pointed out about the WrestleMania card this upcoming year is of anything, any disagreements on? Please let me know. I want to hear your voice. So, like me on Facebook with rumblingrumors.com. Also, be prepared for Rumbling Reality Episode 2 from the comeback. This upcoming weekend, we will have another one all set and go. Oh, I said 2. This would be Episode 3. So, Episode 3 of our comeback will be this upcoming Sunday, so pay attention for that. As always, visit rumblingrumors.com for the latest news and rumors in the wrestling world, mainly with the WWE. Also, get new wallpapers that are created by our creator, Ramsey Sadawi. Every single week, he has something new for each and every wrestling fan to put on each of their smartphones. So please continue to visit our page, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Rumbling Reality. And as always, stay cool, y'all.